Watch this. One small adjustment to your racket angle neutralizes almost any serve, and it's the opposite of what most players instinctively do. Most amateur players struggle with serve reception, and I think the core issue comes down to sensitivity. After not practicing receive drills for a while, I noticed something interesting about my own game. I could still handle the spin itself reasonably well, but the moment the rhythm changed, a suddenly fast serve or a suddenly slow one, my return quality dropped. That tells me something important. In serve reception, the most critical skill is your sensitivity to the incoming ball. When my partner serves to my backhand or forehand side, there's a mix of sidespin topspin and sidespin backspin. You should be able to spot the difference. Even when the serve comes fast, watch closely. My partner sends one with heavy backspin. If you judge by speed alone, you'd assume it's topspin. I misjudged the first two balls for exactly that reason. The speed made it look like sidespin topspin. But once I recognized the heavy backspin, I adjusted my racket angle, committed to brushing up, and looped it cleanly. So here's the key point for serve reception. Your sensitivity has to improve. When you misread a serve, can you immediately diagnose why? Did you misjudge the spin, the speed, or the placement? That self-correction has to happen instantly. Getting fooled by a serve is not the problem, everyone gets caught. What matters is whether you can adjust on the very next ball. Watch my partner receive a few, notice which element causes the mistake. Next, let me break down the mental side of this. Now here's the mindset for serve reception. Say I loop the first serve successfully, great. At that moment, everything resets to zero. The server might go short next, or long to the backhand, or change the spin entirely. If I didn't get the first ball on and I'm still replaying it in my head, wondering if my weight was too high, I've lost 90% of my attention to the previous point. When the next serve arrives with a different placement or spin, that mental lag creates hesitation. You become rushed and lose composure. So after every single receive, reset completely. Clear your mind, clear your body state, start fresh. Then the second key point is matching your startup speed to your opponent's serving rhythm. Watch this demonstration. See, my partner's timing was off on that one. She moved too early, and her hand was already through the swing before the ball arrived. When you rush ahead of the serve's tempo, you end up reaching for the ball at the wrong moment. Let's try again. That one was late, she got jammed. Now watch when the timing locks in. There, that's the right rhythm. You have to match the server's tempo with your own swing frequency. Watch what happened on the first attempt. The serve was slow, but my partner's stroke was already finishing before contact. When your racket arrives early and you're just guiding the ball at the end of your swing, you lose control of the spin. That's exactly how you get caught by rotation that isn't even that heavy. The ball wasn't especially spinny, the error came from the timing mismatch, not the spin itself. So the spin isn't what beat you, your own timing error did. You could push that same ball cleanly because a push naturally matches a slower tempo. The real lesson is this: match the server's rhythm. If the serve is slow, your backswing and your waiting point both need to slow down. If the serve is fast, you speed up. Watch my hand closely. When my partner sends a fast serve, my swing accelerates to meet it. When the serve is slow, watch. I deliberately slow my preparation down, letting the ball come to me before I commit the racket forward. Your swing frequency and your waiting point must mirror the incoming ball's speed. When the serve is slow, I stay slow. When it's fast, I speed up. If the serve is slow and you swing fast, you miss time contact. Your racket must ride the ball's rhythm. After that, now let's talk about reading spin. Use the server's elbow as the pivot point and watch the forearm. When the forearm swings downward, the ball definitely carries backspin. When the forearm pushes forward, expect a half-long float with little spin, misread that and the ball pops up. When the forearm moves upward, it's mostly side spin topspin, misread that and the ball flies long. These patterns are fairly consistent, but your read has to be fast. A correct but slow judgment still gets you caught by the spin. Don't let this sound too complicated. Watch this serve. Is it side spin topspin or side spin backspin? It looks a little ambiguous, right? That slight blur is exactly what the server wants. Most of you would guess somewhere between no spin and half spin. It's definitely not pure topspin. The racket never drops below the ball. So how do we tell for sure? The key is whether the server's racket meets the ball on the way up or on the way down. If the racket is below the ball and rising when it contacts, the ball must carry topspin, sidespin, topspin to be precise. Watch, the racket comes up and meets the ball during that upward phase. That's topspin, no question. Now, if the ball has already started to fall and the racket meets it on the way down, there's definitely backspin in there, sidespin, backspin. That's unavoidable. Once you understand this principle, you can apply it to any serve you see. The direction of the racket at the moment of contact tells you everything. Moving on, whether the ball goes in or not comes down to whether your hand and racket can control it. Let me show you. My partner sends me a sidespin backspin serve to the backhand deep. Watch, if I just hold my racket still and let the ball hit it, the ball dives downward. Now with sidespin topspin, same thing, I hold still, and the ball kicks upward off my racket. See the difference? So we use our racket angle to counteract that movement. When the ball wants to jump up, sidespin topspin, I close the racket face slightly and push forward. I'm pressing down on the spin while directing the ball onto the table. When the ball wants to dive down, sidespin backspin, I open the racket face a little and still push forward. Watch, the ball stops dropping into the net. Racket angle is everything here. If you're pushing against backspin and the ball keeps hitting the net, it's because you're chopping down too aggressively. The serve already has heavy spin, you don't need to add more downward force. That guarantees a net ball. You can't chop hard against heavy spin. Think about why the ball goes long or dumps into the net. With a normal push, your racket moves downward. With a normal drive, it moves upward. But a spinny serve doesn't behave like a flat ball, it won't just bounce back obediently. When the ball wants to kick up, close your racket and go forward. When it wants to dive down, open your racket and go forward. The key word is forward, not up, not down. Forward. Against heavy topspin, if you don't close the face, a normal forehand drive sails long. Against heavy backspin, if you scoop under it, you dump it into the net. The direction is always forward. So whenever you can't read the spin clearly, default to pushing your racket forward. Don't exaggerate upward or downward. Big vertical swings make you a slave to the spin. You'll get eaten alive every time. Keep the motion compact and directed forward. Let me put this another way. Serve reception starts with awareness before it becomes a physical skill. First, build the right mental framework, understand what spin looks like, know what your racket should do in response, and then go drill it. The awareness comes first, the hands follow. Watch on screen as I receive again. Notice I'm not making big swings. My racket angle adjusts just enough to neutralize the spin, and the stroke goes forward, compact and controlled. That forward direction reduces your sensitivity to spin. Whether it's sidespin backspin or sidespin topspin, the adjustment is small, a slight close or a slight open, and the push is always toward the opponent's side of the table. Receive will truly improve.